then there's a lot more to discuss with you all as we move forward. One of those being, I'll talk about it since it's on my slideshow now, is an anticipation of fare increases. From what I've heard, because I haven't been here since before this, that the transit fares have been relatively the same for the last 15 plus years. And so I think that we had a study done in the mid-teens done by regional planning that had some suggestions. Now I've updated them for, today, but to look at our transit fare structure and one, simplify them, but increase them as well. So we currently have 6 methodologies in which someone can purchase a bus pass or tokens or just pay fare and ride the bus. It's overly complicated in my opinion. Mostly these half-month, 6-month, and annual passes. My suggestion would be to just move only to a monthly bus pass, increase that cost from $25 today to a $30 bus pass. It's still a fairly cheap ride if you're a regular user of the service, which that's usually who buys these. And then bringing the fare and token cost the same, but to $2 a ride. For reference, I have a bunch of background work that I did on it. Any of our comparables, they vary. They're all over the map. Some of them are at 50 cents a ride. Some of them are over $3. So to me, it's kind of where does council feel that this, if you raise fare too much, it may drive people away from using the service, but at the same time, we have to be able to operate, and we have to be able to pay for stuff. So I don't know that we're going to have this big boon in dollars by increasing the transit fare from $1.25 to $2, but it may limit some of the exposure that we have to the general fund, which was my other point. If you add these two together, we're around $440,000 of property tax liability. And that dollar figure has grown, as you can see in previous years, has been higher. Now, we did some adjustments last fiscal year. We removed a transit manager, and now that's on me, but we did cut some costs. I think that we need to look at transit. Mr. Bird and I have talked with some folks about how do we look at transit? We've had the same routing system for the last 20 years. We have no technology in the buses. It's all paper. People have to call for a ride. It means very demand-heavy call volume for our dispatcher. So I think we need to rethink how we do transit, and I don't know what that looks like. So that's the biggest thing, is I don't know what it looks like. But we will probably be making some investment in transit to try and figure out the information that we don't know, which is cradle to grave on ridership. Where are these rides coming from, and where are they going? And can we alter the routing, meaning potentially reducing our costs in mileage and staff time during certain times of the day? Saturday service, as an example, might be one of those conversations. We have roughly about 20 people that ride on a Saturday service. We operate from 6 in the morning until 2 at night, or 2 in the afternoon. So we ran for 8 hours and we have 24-ish rides. For those 24 people that ride, that's highly important.
I get it.
But how important is it to us, cost-wise, to run that service? I don't know. That's something that we have to ask ourselves as a policy question. So there will be more changes or questions and conversation coming with transit, just because I know that the way we operate isn't, I think we could be way more efficient than we are. And I don't know what that looks like, but I think increasing the fares could help us cover some of our costs in the meantime.
I think it's simple and it's reasonable, Nick. I think you're spot on. And I think that if we had to eliminate a Saturday, it would just force people to plan for the Monday through Friday riding. And that's when most business needs, if you have a doctor's appointment or whatever, I doubt that very many things are on a Saturday that they couldn't get done on a Monday through Friday. So I think you're right.
It depends if you're working.
Monday through Friday.
Well, it sounds like it's gonna be something, maybe you put a couple council people on and get together and talk about it, and start hammering out the issue.
Yep, and so we
We're
will
not
probably
gonna
make some
discuss that
investment in
today.
some technology, so there'll probably be an app included, so
Yep.
one, riders might be able to tell where their buses are, which could help cut down on call volume, but two, it might actually encourage ridership. I mean, because if people don't know what to do, they have a hard time being able to use the service, so,
I've
it's
had
just kind of
people
a,
call, I've had people contact me, they don't even know who to call, so, an app is, that's the way of the world nowadays. You know, when my mom, God rest her soul, was out using apps, I was stunned, but it made my life a lot easier. So, yeah, I think we should look at that, but, well, you're gonna have that, bring that forward as a discussion at some point?
I will, but I don't know that it would be prior to a budget
I get that.
decision being made, right? But I may come forward with a technology piece in that time frame for this fiscal year.
That's why amendments are made, so that's fine.
Do you want any response on the fee increases? Do you want to do that before budget time ends, or?
I guess I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, well,
I have no problem with it, so.
Annie?
Yeah, I mean, I was just curious about like,
I mean, it's
How
something
many
we'd have,
people
it's something we'd have to
could-
vote on, but,
Yeah, we'd bring a resolution
Yeah.
forward, and whether we did it separate with this or some of the other things that Nick's talking about, either way, but we would look to bring this, you know,
it is what it is. in my
mid-February to
opinion,
get it
so.
into the budget cycle, if that's what you
Okay.
want to do.
yeah.
We heard from Robert, okay?
I would encourage the keeping of the annual pass in some form because I know a couple of people that it would be very difficult for them to go monthly to get a pass.
I could see that. I mean, I could see a monthly and annual, the 6 month, half,
Right.
I don't know what that has been about. But there's a
Don't mind
willingness to
February.
raise to make it viable for you. So I wouldn't want to see us go over $2. To be honest with you, that's a pretty good raise, 75 cents. But if it's been 15, 20 years since
Right.
we've had an increase, it's justified. So we'll bring that discussion forward does that give you guys any
Yeah.
track then? Okay. I mean, we'd have to vote on it when you make the proposal, but at least there's a willingness to discuss it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay?
For sure.
Absolutely.
okay. Solid waste is the other piece, and kind of had talked about. It doesn't touch general fund. It's its own enterprise fund. We charge with the trash can costs to be able to pay for things. But there are some things, since I've taken over the operation last December, that I would like to make, kind of known. We've discussed this last fall about the citywide cleanup and kind of the catastrophe that it turns into for 6 weeks in the spring. And we put it in the newsletter. I think I alluded to it, but citywide cleanup as it was is no longer. We will be bringing to you very shortly kind of a replacement bulky item pickup program. And I won't strain council talking about the details of that in this budget discussion. But it's a big operational change from what people are used to. So as we discuss some of the operations of, budgets and paying for solid waste, that's something that's changing. Obviously, citywide cleanup costs us dollars. We typically had used our credit with the Solid Waste Commission to pay for it. And a bulky item pickup program is going to cost dollars. I don't know the exact cost of that bulky item pickup. I can't imagine it's going to be any more expensive than what citywide cleanup was. So I don't see any major changes from a budgetary standpoint on that, but it is going to be a change, and there will be some folks that will be upset about the way that is changing. The other big thing is more of a, internal, how we get things done. In the current budget, we have the purchase of a second automated truck. So we have a front-loaded Corrado can garbage truck that one person operates. My goal would be to, at least now, get a second one. And then ideally, see where other places we can do that. I've told staff this, so this isn't a surprise to them. I'd like to be able to get our pickup schedule from a 5-day pickup schedule of Monday through Friday to 4. So that way we could, one, do a bulky item type pickup on the 5th day, and on holidays, not have to be so strained with double and triple day pickup type function,
So when you go to purchase that second automated truck, you brought details about, what was that thing called, a Viking or whatever? It was a different grade of truck, not a Corrado can, that you were.
Oh, I know. I got all excited because I was a kid in the candy store and saw a dual grabber garbage truck.
We were at League, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is that thing a viable choice?
You mean all the garbage trucks that I purchased at the League meeting?
You didn't find any yet, but, I mean, that thing's, I'm just saying, if we're gonna purchase another one, maybe we should look at one that fits, because some of our alleys, I know, have been a problem for the Corrado.
So we have tested or demonstrated a couple of different alternatives
So you're
in our
on-
alleyways, and so
Okay.
we've had staff run through it. I'll make the decision on kind of where we go amongst
Yeah.
the staff, but at the end of the day, I want them to be comfortable with what they're gonna be operating. And they seem to think that a Corrado can vehicle is gonna be okay. We might not be in every alley. There are gonna be some alleys that are gonna be too tight for that type of operation. We'll have to be selective where that vehicle goes. And they'll take some work on our end, but it's a big
Okay.
savings on workman's comp claim issues. You're able to repurpose a vehicle that probably would have had 2 people with 1 person, and you're able to no longer have single man-run
No,
trucks.
I'm good with all
So-
that, and I know that's something you'll bring forward. I'm just saying, don't be afraid to do something different.
Yep.
If it serves us better, because I know we have problems with our alleys, our hills, and everything else, and so you were really, really, really excited that day. I was worried you did buy some. Anyway, okay, go ahead, sorry to interrupt.
I only had a couple POs that day. And so I just highlighted again the 4% increase, or that's wrong. It should be 45 cents. Don't look at my text on the PowerPoint. So I'm jumping into CIP here in a second, and that's gonna be, I'm still doing okay. So is there any other questions on operations? I didn't do my typical PowerPoint presentation where I go into detail on some of it. I completely blew past some of our operations, but I just wanted to stick to the main highlights of any sort of changes that are coming. Otherwise, it's salary increases and any sort of inflationary marker, so. Okay, CIP. Hopefully this slideshow over the next 3 or 4 slides doesn't overwhelm you visually, because there's a lot there to digest, especially when you consider an expansion from 5 to 10 years, but then we also have a lot more kind of on the table. And so I break this down. I like doing it by department. I know you've seen a lot of it through FundSource. So any of the way we're purchasing a lot of these vehicles is through a split of road use tax or sewer funds.
Real quick, Eric, is there any way to expand that where we look at the sections as he goes down? The print's a little small. For my old eyes. If you can't, that's fine.
Yeah, I snipped it out of the report.
All right, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
So I kind of highlighted a few key topic, vehicle or equipment purchases across these departments. If you have questions about some of the ones I didn't highlight, I won't spend a lot of time on some of them. I highlighted buses, and I think I left that out of the conversation because I knew I was going to come to it. Buses is probably the number one reason why I think we need to anticipate some changes with transit. You can see the price escalation. For instance, we just purchased a medium-duty bus. That price tag is almost $250,000 for a medium-duty bus. A light-duty bus has jumped up over $180,000.
Okay, thanks.
That's up about 40% from where they used to be. So as those capital costs kind of rise, I worry, we're still required to pay match. On most of the buses that are programmed, we're not necessarily going to be buying a bus every single year. unless the grant dollars flow from the FTA and STA. It's an 85, 15% match on that work. Yeah, and when you look at it by department, there will be equipment and vehicles in there, and also there'll be construction projects, so.
Thank you.
Just for a reference. The other piece is the garbage trucks, the Packers. I have kind of programmed out where we're going to be with some rear load vehicles over the next, I didn't go out 10 years, but I went out 8 years. Down into the sewer and street department, we have quite a bit of sewer specialty equipment that's fairly expensive. We have a televising truck system, so we have a kind of a box-looking truck that we have a reel with a camera system and a kind of a computer layout. So if we have a problem in a sewer line, we drop, I'll call it a hose, but it's not that. It's got a camera on the end of it. We're able to actually operate that robot up and down the sewer line and get video of what's going on the inside. That camera system is probably about 15 or 20 years old, and in the technology world, that's ancient. So we need to upgrade that. And then you can see in the out years of fiscal year 32 and 34, we have programmed out for a vacuum jet truck. So if we have a blockage or some sort of issue in the sewer line, we will use that unit to try and eliminate the material that's in the pipe so we can try and better assess what's going on. So very important. I know that there was some discussion about WB also having a unit. They have a combo truck, which we also have a combo truck. I would say that our unit is out on a multiple time a day basis. If it's not for a programmatic, go out and clean these hotspot areas where we know we have roots or something. We're dealing with a call-in of an individual that says, hey, I got sewer problems. We're always sending that truck to go out there and figure out what's going on so we can deal with whatever potentially is going in ours. I'd say 8 out of 10 times it's usually proper owner issue, but we still check our line. We still have to use this so we can get the camera in there. I just wanted to highlight dump truck costs. The costs on chassis are pretty similar to the transit buses. Those chassis have increased by 35 to 40%. And just kind of showing you the number of vehicles that we need and have and kind of their costs. Another big ticket purchase item is a loader, kind of similar to the one that Tim brought up. It's a 621. Is yours a 721, Tim?
No, I think it's 621.
No, well, same thing.
So I was gonna ask about that. That's not something he could use, you could go back and forth, or no?
I mean, when we're using it for, I'm not saying no. And I mean, we're the same organization. We'll share equipment. But when we use it pretty heavily in winter operations for salt and sand
Right.
type of function. I don't know that is a problem. Typically, when you're spreading sludge is when you're using that, or you're moving sludge, I think. But
I was wondering if Tim's not gonna need it a whole heck of a lot. I was wondering if that's just something you guys could handle and then they could borrow to take something out, or you both
we
need
could have a
one?
discussion about that.
Okay, just something to put in the
Yep.
notes.
Street sweepers. We have 2 street sweepers that are mechanical broom type units. They are out pretty hot and heavy in the spring, cleaning up post-winter and post-fall that didn't get cleaned up all the way. And then they're pretty heavy throughout the fall. We also run them throughout the summer. When rain events occur and stuff, they leave debris in the curb line. We clean up in the downtown area quite a bit. But that's just that replacement cycle, just kind of showing you what that looks like. Is there any questions on there? Anything crazy? I guess I would highlight, we have some things in the out year that aren't something that we have. We have a excavator. Where are you at? 106. I did highlight it. I didn't even talk about it. A small tract excavator. So when we have several backhoes that we use that have an Extend-A-Hoe on there. So we will go out and we'll self-perform. We remove dirt to get down to a sewer line. We're only able to go down to 14 foot safely with that without shoring. And after that, we typically have to hire it out to a local contractor that's able to do that. So the question that I have amongst our staff is, what's the cost of the capital item to be able to self-perform that work? And then the time frame that it takes and the cost that you pay for the labor to hire a contractor to come in and do it. There are some jobs that we don't have the capability, nor would this even allow us to do, but there are a lot of jobs that we could do if we had the equipment. So it's just anticipating that type of work and being able to self-perform it.
For the folks at home, Nick, just to go back to the bus line at the top. So how many buses actually need replaced?
So we have an inventory of 15 vehicles. And so the life cycle costs on them are not as much as you would hope for.
Right.
For instance, I think we still have a 2014 vehicle, which I know is only a decade old. Their lifespan's about 7 years.
So basically everyone over a 10-year CIP.
Correct.
Yeah, so what I want to explain to the folks at home, that when you budget these things in, some of those lines are just placeholders so that you can budget to buy a bus when you need one, correct?
Correct.
And you're not buying a bus every year, or you're not just putting that money in there just to do it, you're doing it so that you can plan for the
Yes.
future.
And we are super reliant on the FTA grant dollars that come with it. We've been using sales tax dollars as the match, but to be able to tap into $250,000 a year of sales tax dollars that would upset the apple cart for the
Right,
rest of our
because it'd look like
sales
one
tax.
huge year and then nothing the rest of the years, and then one big year. So I just wanted the folks at home to understand why you do
Yeah.
things the way you do and why it makes sense.
Correct.
Okay.
I think I did ask staff to take a look at our snow operation. I don't see, where am I at? Salt brine tanks. That's really not. So you saw it happen last week where we pre-treated. That operation isn't ideal in my eyes. I think we could improve upon that. We currently have 3 tanks that we use with a PVC operation. There is much better equipment out there to be able to use. I don't know that it would save you a bunch of money and loss. The brine that we get from the DOT, which is the same stuff they use, we get it fairly cheap. I don't know the dollar figure per gallon, but it's a fairly cheap operation, and it helps us kind of get in front of any snow that hits the ground, kind of protect a protective barrier between the roadway surface and people driving. Anytime we can try and plan ahead and do that, I like trying to do it, especially it's dependent on the type of snow that you're getting. If it's going to get, dry or if it's going to rain a bunch first, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if it's dry snow, it helps quite a bit. So just to look out in the future is something that we would want to do. So I've added a whole new category this year and moved some of the previous items that were in there. So we have a listing called Building and Facilities. As we're taking a look through property maintenance's lens of all the buildings and facilities that we own and operate, to try and categorize those into one area so that way we could better kind of assess kind of the needs that we have across the city. We've labeled them based on where they're at. I don't know if you want me to go through every one of these listed items unless there's major questions, because I have another page behind this. Do I have enough time? I'll take care of some of the ones that are bigger ticket items. The animal shelter over the 4-year span is a bigger ticket item. As you may remember from the last budget cycle, we talked about no longer being the owner of the facility. One of the issues is the HVAC system was very, sensitive type system. It had it had perfume things. It had, all sorts of different detection on it. Well, it made the system very finicky. And so it's had issues over the last 3 or 4 years. And so we would look at, before they would want to take over, they would want a new HVA system. So we're trying to budget that. The auditorium, kind of a grouping. The big items listed is the floor in the arena. That floor has continued to see some deterioration. As we had some of the larger floods where we had some water into the auditorium, it caused the floor to pucker. The wood in the flooring absorbed all the moisture, and it had big heaves in the floor. Well, staff has done its best job as they can to try and patch it. It's not awesome. So the replacement would be to rip that out, put some sort of an epoxy. I don't know exactly the nature of it. Some of the auditorium stuff is stuff that we directed, but also some conversations with the folks at BRE. The rooftop units, those are fairly expensive, $150,000 for the HVAC units. I don't know much about the sound system. That's a kind of a BRE question. I know that it's 15 or 20 years old.
Didn't we just
We
give
did
them
lights.
$50-some thousand for sound system
It was lights.
Lighting.
lighting? Okay.
Some of the other big questions with the building, and this isn't necessarily a BRE-directed thing. I mean, we are the owners of the building. Those block windows are a big question. I don't know if anybody's been in the building lately, but there are multiple windows that are broken and are falling apart. And they have, I think there's 8 panes, meaning top to bottom, on either the east side and the west side, but those are 35-foot tall and they're 8 to 10 foot wide. So we don't know how to anticipate what that is, but there is some concern there with some of those block windows. And getting, a mason in there, placing some block windows. Obviously, if we could try and do it, we would try and go after some grant dollars for preservation. Okay. As I kind of go down here, City Hall is kind of programmed out over the next 10 years on the heater replacement, as we have an air conditioner or 2 replacement, but then we have to get into the heaters. This building was built with a bunch of different residential units and not one large commercial unit, so we have multiple units to service this building. So that's the reason for the programmed out of all the different unit replacements.
This building was designed with a boiler system, and we took
Correct.
that out, and put the,
Yeah. We try to retrofit it into today's world, that it's had its complications in the past, but this is just the replacement for those residential units. And those residential units don't last near as long as the commercial ones.
So are you talking about replacing them with commercial units? Or more
No,
residential?
just the way the system is set up, it would be awfully difficult to
So
re-retrofit the retrofit and make that work.
Okay, gotcha.
Chad highlighted it in the road use tax part. So one of the other pieces, we had an ADA transition plans work done a few years ago, not just for outside, but as the owners of facilities, we also have some liability to make sure that our facilities are ADA compliant for any public visitors that come in there. The plan laid out a bunch of improvements throughout facilities, and so I've just programmed about $10,000 a year to try and tackle some of those issues based on some of their ease of getting them done, the areas that are more highly frequently traveled. The back confines of the Public Works building are not as important as, the first area in City Hall. So the port has a few things that are on there. A couple of the doors on the east and the west need to be replaced. The bathrooms need all new fixtures in there. Planned out for some tuck pointing in fiscal year 36. We have to look at the ADA ramp. That's at the senior center. I thought that was odd. We are the owners of the senior center, and so we have several items listed. The air conditioner replacement, the ADA ramp that's on the east side of the building, on the south side of Jefferson Street, and then converting to LED, which that LED conversion should help the seniors quite a bit, and it's fairly low cost of entry. And then I have the Public Works Department. Mostly it's traffic light type work, and then some property maintenance improvements. We have LED replacement program, and so it might be a little bit of a misnomer on what the title is. Some of it will fund some LED light replacement, but if you've noticed some of the signal heads across town, some of them are starting to fall apart a little bit, and so we would try and purchase some replacement traffic light heads. We have some improvements at the Public Works Building. When it was constructed, it was done with prefabbed concrete structures. There's some ceiling problems with the two different building types from the office area to the back. And so we've had some leakages, and so we need to try and prevent some further damages. The flood wall is a big one, and I'll spend a little bit of time on that. I have a picture, so it's not just a blanket sheet of numbers that anybody wants to look at. So I'll save that for later conversation. And then here's another page of just a massive list of projects. I will forgo ruining your eyes talking about that. I'll wait till another page to ruin your eyes on that. But I will talk about a couple projects. The 3rd and Washington parking structure. You can see a fairly large dollar figure in fiscal year '28. So the top deck is done with a pre-tensioned concrete. We've had some issues with the tensions in there. And so we need to take a look do some ground penetrating radar. In my eyes, I wouldn't see that it's any different than like a bridge, and we're required to inspect our bridge on a biannual basis. And so we need to know what we don't know on that, and anticipating if we have to do some major fix on that structure, what would that look like? I put this in an out year. I know that it's had more use over the last probably 5 years than out of the last 20. The 7th Street section between Washington and Jefferson, it's all brick. The eastern retaining wall of that has quite a bit of a woe in it, or a bow. There was pyramid blocks placed on it probably when I was in high school. And they've been kind of moved off to the side. We've opened it back up to two-way traffic, but we are anticipating that we might have to do something with it at some point. We've had some driveways that have been installed off of it for access for the Busted Cup folks. But what do we do with that moving forward? And so that's just kind of anticipating a fairly large dollar figure for a one-block section of road, but there's quite a bit of retaining wall work that would be required, and that's the bulk of the cost.
Does that brick have any historical significance other than it's just a brick roadway?
I would say that anytime you get brick involved and you get any sort of grant dollars, they will say absolutely. If we were to do it with our own dollars, I don't know if that's the question. I would say we can do what we want with it, but I wouldn't just tear it up and make it into asphalt or something.
Right, okay.
The goal would be to try and secure the edge of roadway, reestablish what retaining wall would be there, and make it so that we can confidently say that that road isn't going to pour into Linda, Mexico. That's
Right.
that's the concern, right?
And I like their tacos, so.
Yeah.
you know,
Right now,
let's
with
try
it
to-
being two-way, I think there's more traffic than anybody realizes on that road.
I use it a lot because I get tacos.
And I don't know what the concern was back when it was made into a one, even during the winter, it was made where the roadway was closed. We put up barricades for the longest time.
Right.
I don't know what the concern is. I've been here for a decade. I haven't seen like it's greatly shifting one way or the other, but somebody at some point decided there's a concern there.
Well, they put those pyramids up because it's so buckled.
Correct.
It's all about preservation,
Yep.
you know, saving the, what little brick, roadway we have left.
Okay.
Okay. I'll save the sewer conversation for the sewers. I'll save Sunnyside.
You skipped past the bridge for later too, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And then I will go back down to here, because some of them are all part of it. Seal coat, we're gonna cut this number down because we have some road use tax issue. But our seal coat replacement schedule, we use RUT to fund that, a road use tax. And we just go in there, I think you all know what the seal coat process is. We try and cycle through roads on around a 7-8 year basis. That was my opportunity, guys, and I missed it. The West Burlington Avenue retaining wall, I think this dollar figure has escalated quite a bit. If you've driven over to the recycling center, the north side of that bridge has got quite a bit of a dip between the bridge deck and the abutment. And so we have a retaining wall there that needs to be kind of looked at and worked on. But we're anticipating that maybe there's some more costly work that needs to be done, so. Oh, and then look what I did. I highlighted all the project works that meet one of our strategic goals. So some of them dance around it because some of the work that they would do would improve roadway work, but these are direct roadway projects that improve the pavement conditions. So wanted to highlight that. Plus, I used animation. I don't think I've used animation in PowerPoint since I was in high school.
3-4 years ago?
Huh?
6-7 years ago?
No, I wish. So flood protection, I skipped that, but this is a project that is on its third and fourth phase of physical construction. That's what's anticipated. The remaining work is approximately $13.6 million in available dollars. This is flood mitigation board money that is, we have to borrow the dollars, but we get reimbursed through sales tax increment, the 6 cents of the state's sales tax. The increment piece of it, we get reimbursed on do we get reimbursed quarterly? Well, annual basis, it doesn't matter. And so the work would involve extending the flood wall, the permanent flood wall work down Market Street, and then including disconnecting the storm sewer. So if any of you have been downtown during a flood event, the river backs up through our storm sewer system, and actually we have to sandbag and ring around manholes and intakes. And so a lot of the work will be underground. In a few years, no one will even know that it's there. Other than when it's flooding, we will no longer have to ring all of those manholes and intakes. So it would disconnect it, install a new storm line to stormwater pumping stations that'll take it up and over the wall. And the big square green box of HESCOs that you see will be eliminated from having to be done. It will greatly improve what we have to do from an operations standpoint. Our first action will be closing a valve. And then we won't have to do anything until the river would hit 19 foot. So that would alleviate quite a bit of spending and staff time in flood operations. So,
One quick question about when it rains, then if there's a heavy rain, why we've got them closed, where will the water go then, or it'll just get pumped out, just like?
correct. So the stormwater on Valley and then Market and then some up on Front, all would come down to a stormwater pump station. And so when it rains, it gets to the stormwater pump station and gets pumped over the wall. So the stormwater pump station will also handle some of their seepage lines underneath the flood wall. So as the river puts pressure and puts water underneath, like the sheet pile, it grabs that water and takes it there, so it doesn't have, I don't know what the
So it
right
doesn't
word
break
is.
the wall?
Well, it doesn't shove water from the river inward into their basement, so it tries to grab some of that before it goes there. There still is some. I mean, the river's going to act, the way it wants to, but we are able to grab quite a bit of water underground and put it. So, This is a big operational change. One of the other pieces that was a part of the conversation back in 2015 was major work at the wastewater treatment plant. Tim will have to correct me, the height in which they're affected. They get affected, I think it's north of 23, but I could be wrong. There was no anticipation of, if we have to put a wall up, what do we do with the effluent line that for our regular sewer flow, we'd have to build a whole lift station for that. And we have HR Green on contract right now. We have 30% design plans. The lift station at the wastewater treatment plant would have been $12 million just to handle the flow of the effluent. So that was we can't put a wall all the way around the plant if we only have $13 million available. So it was a little bit of here and there. Tim has been a part of the conversation on what we do at the wastewater treatment plant. There'll probably be some other anticipated moves that we would have to do there. But, for instance, the depot was a part of the conversation originally too. And unfortunately, the dollars weren't there. Okay, sewer. For reference, I just included the Mississippi Interceptor, which is the line that we intend to run, that Tim alluded to, up Main Street. We would have a lift station in and around near Cascade Bridge. So all of the flow from Cascade Basin and much of the flow of the eastern side of South would all find a new line to go in down to the wastewater treatment plant. I think I've explained this before, but we currently have the Mississippi Interceptor that runs out and alongside parallel, and sometimes when the river's high, under the river. And so essentially what that project is replacing that line with something that isn't a massive environmental liability. And we would also do some sewer separation at the same time. The Market, Angular, and South Basins are still ones that we have to separate, back to the consent order conversation. And so in doing the Mississippi Interceptor, we're able to cut off some of this eastern side of South, and then a little bit over here, it gets kind of shallow as it gets to Bonds Hollow, so we're not able to add all that. But what we do is we prepare ourselves to get sewer separated into that main trunk line. So, but for reference, that's a $22 million project. Right now, we have an SRF loan for the planning and design. We have $1.7 million in community project funding through Miller Meeks's office. It was originally planned for some work off of Head Street, or associated with Harrison Avenue. Well, the problem was Harrison Avenue was already under development, and by the time we got that I wasn't going to hold that project up waiting for those dollars. Well, the project was going, they were match dollars. The EPA didn't like that, so we had to repurpose it. We have plenty of sewer costs, so this was the next best thing that we could try and put it towards. So we have SRF loan funds that will probably pay with this. The question that I have, or that we've posed with our financial advisor, is the interest rate of SRF versus a revenue bond, and then the requirements that come with using state revolving loan fund dollars. You instantly jump into Davis-Bacon and Buy American, which around here tends to cost us around 15% more than if we were to just do the project with our own local dollars, which would be a revenue bond. So that percent is the question, is that percent worth it?
When do you anticipate starting the Interceptor project?
That's a good question. I'm hoping to have plans for at least a first phase by the end of the summer.
Cool.
They've been working on stuff, so
Right?
they had a whole tunneling phase where they were going to put a tunnel that was 100 foot underground, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound feasible. So we talked rational with engineers, which is ironic, but
To the last.
so the South Sewer Basin is another project, it estimated around 29 million. This is pushing towards compliance. The South Basin is down in here. And so at the end of 2033, we theoretically would have all the south basins separated and only need Market and Angular to be separated. And so south is significantly cheaper and smaller and less complicated than the other two, but that's $52 million in spending over the next decade. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work, one. You know, I talked about the consent order earlier. There's no physical way that you could get that work done. This is going to be difficult. Residents are not going to be thrilled with construction in and around their neighborhood for like 7 straight years.
I don't
But,
think.
but the silver lining that my goal is with some of the sewer separation, a lot of the sewer separation areas currently have roadways that are seal coat. My goal would be to install, you're gonna have to deal with the stormwater somehow anyway, would be to at least install curb and gutter, which would help establish the edge of road, which would help eliminate all of the off-street parking and the mud holes in the spring. And then, if you have curb and gutter, you can have the pavement in the middle be extended past what it currently is, because you're containing it. And you get the water off of the roadway through some sort of storm sewer network. So it's a sewer project, and those aren't sexy, right? It's all underground, nobody sees the money you're spending. But if we can cap it off with some newer roadway work, I think that will help alleviate some of that strain.
Dual benefit.
So,
I'm really excited by this. I mean, like, getting that kind of work done is exactly what I want, so awesome. And I can't believe how much you've got done already, so I'm pretty
Yeah.
excited by it, so.
Cascade Bridge. So I don't want to ruin Monday night because I don't want to spoiler alert anything. So we anticipate, I can at least say this, we anticipate that we would have some sort of plan set ready next spring. We have a whole bunch of work that we still have to do, but we can finally say out loud that we intend to build a new bridge over the ravine. For the longest time, without doing the hoop jumping that we need to, we weren't even allowed to say that our intention is to build a new bridge. So we can finally say that. Mr. Bird and I have talked with Miller Meeks's office staff. They're, as you know, I submitted a $6 million grant request through the CPF funding process. It went on hiatus when they didn't fund any of that type of work. Hopefully, over the next month or two, we can find out to determine that it gets funded. Should that get funded, that alleviates a significant portion of what would be a fairly large bond ask over the next 2 years. And so the bond ask doesn't match that dollar figure that's there. That's probably better shown in your budget books of what that bonding would look like. So over the next year, I also have a better cost driver on what that looks like. Because we are or would be tearing down a bridge that's on the National Historic Registry, we will have an adverse effect that's created, and we'll have to have an MOA. So I'll let Jesse talk about more of that on Monday, but just know we're getting closer.
Okay. So, when we met with the DOT and determined we're kind of trying to influence the routes, there wasn't any pushback from that meeting?
It worked. It was
Good,
successful.
thank you. That's all I needed.
Sunnyside is, I had it already done from last year, so I just repurposed it. It is a overlay project from Osborne to Roosevelt, around 3.2 million. We obtained STBG funds, or State Transportation Block Grant dollars, at about $1.5 million. You also see in the budget book that we had a Sunnyside storm sewer project. So I want that project done before we go in and tear up this roadway. So as you can see on Sunnyside, at times, we don't have a lot of storm sewer network that was built in the roadway. And so our goal is, we're not gonna cover all the roadway, but there are some main portions that need some sort of storm sewer assistance. And so that's what that project is. So we're gonna do this, the storm sewer project, and then we'll follow it up with this roadway project.
What years are those? What years?
I think it's next fiscal year. Fiscal year '28.
Has the amount of bus
Page
traffic from the school impacted the road at all over the years since Aldo's been there?
I think some of the problem over there is it is fairly high traffic, but some of it's the thickness of the asphalt, and there's brick under some of it.
Okay, I think you mentioned that. I
And so
don't-
some of the work that we would anticipate near Aldo would be some stabilization type work to try and get, that's why the
I think you brought that
patching
up
work
with-
that we did
Yeah.
was because there was major rutting going on in
Yep,
the
yep.
roadway where the wheel paths are.
Okay.
And then this is a fairly minor project, but I had already kind of worked it up. We have a couple of equalization tanks that Tim and my staff are working through to try and get it more automated. We have a clean project anticipated this year, but these sewer equalization tanks, they hold back flow when we have rain events and there's too much inflow and infiltration into our sanitary system. If the Market Street lift station's getting overwhelmed, this will actually hold back water. So we want to try and automate that and improve the gate valving. There's some complications when it floods, and we want to try and improve that, so. That's it. Did I get done in time?
Yeah, well, you got 1 minute to spare.
Nice.
Any questions, gang? of Nick before he
This is
sits
why you
down?
wore the jacket.
Good job, sir, and thank you for what you do.
5-minute break is on our schedule.
No, we're still going. We're gonna keep going till break, till lunch. You can go if you need to. Anybody needs to take a break, because nature calls, you can just go.
Raise your hand.
Don't hold it.
One or two.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
Get the hall pass.
Either one comes
Right now, I
knocking,
gotta
you
go
gotta
6:10.
go.
Did you guys just mention we're gonna get right into it?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's
Okay.
roll, man.
All right.
Come on, chief, bring it.
Well, listen,
Right.
you just afforded me 5 extra minutes now. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give myself a timer. They threatened to throw a cup of coffee, but I'm still gonna give myself a 30-minute timer to keep myself on track.
It'll be cold. It'll be cold coffee.
Right.
I do feel confident that I'm going to present my presentation. In the interest of time, you'll hear me talking fast. I do have some slides that are built in from last year, but I'll skip through some of them. But for me, I didn't reinvent the wheel. It's a similar look and feel as last year's, and I'm gonna keep doing that to stay consistent in what I want to say and do and share with you everything that's going on with the fire department. But if you see me passing through some slides quick, it's because I want them to remain in there, and perhaps if you have a question, then that's gonna be something that I can easily access and get back to. So, but okay, without further ado, let's get started. So for us, again, everything starts with the why. Here we have our mission, vision, and core values. I highlighted the words in red there: professional, courteous, efficient, exemplary service, leadership, innovation. What's not on there but on my notes that I want to expand further on is reliability and proactiveness. And this might be the most important slide and probably what I take up the most of your time and my time with today, is because it's a changing EMS and fire landscape. And reliability and proactiveness is again something that isn't on this slide. It's not in our vision and mission, but it sure is becoming more and more prevalent on the reliability of services provided in the county and our town and this and that in fire and EMS. But in this changing fire and EMS landscape, here's what we're starting to see. You can Google search anything right now on volunteer services, fire and EMS, and I'm confident in telling you, you're going to find 100 research articles from credible sites, articles, media outlets that are all going to tell the same story, and that is a declining volunteerism amongst fire and EMS agencies. So what does that do? It creates an imbalance, is the word I'm going to use, an imbalance in fire and EMS services provided. I'd like to share with you what I mean by imbalance too. The City of Burlington, Burlington Fire Department has all kinds of mutual aid agreements. We also have automatic aid agreements. And those agreements are beneficial to us and our citizens and our department and staff, just as it is beneficial to those entities, agencies, and their staff. It's mutually beneficial, but there is an imbalance that's starting to happen everywhere in our country, including us here in our county and town. So imbalance, what do I mean by that? Let me share that with you. So we currently have one fire protection automatic aid agreement with our neighbors to the west, City of West Burlington, an automatic structure fire response agreement. What does that mean? We are, if there's a structure fire in either of our jurisdictions, we are simultaneously dispatched to that fire, okay? Well, I'm about to tell you, and you're going to see in my presentation, that there's 48 sworn firefighters that are in-house all the time or ready to go within 1 second or at a maximum 2 minutes to respond out the door, okay? We're going to respond that way to our jurisdiction, the City of Burlington. We're going to respond that way to the City of West Burlington also. Okay, that's what we provide. Now, in that automatic aid agreement, again, there's a simultaneous dispatch. The City of West Burlington, in their services, they cannot provide that. That's a factual truth. They can't respond within 1 second unless they're maybe in-house, but that's typically not the case, right? They're volunteer service. They don't reside there. There's nobody there typically. So we know that right out the gate. They're going to be longer in their out-the-door times. They're going to be longer in general because, again, there's a decline in the services provided nationally. Could be 5 minutes, could be 15 minutes, could never show up. So right there is an imbalance that is 20 years ago, it was less of a problem. 10 years ago, it started to rear its ugly head. Today, it's continuing to grow. These imbalances are continuing to grow. In the fire service, what tends to happen is we deal with it, we solve the problem, but we don't talk about it. I'm talking about it. And that's the reliability and especially the proactive word that I want to, hone in on. We're proactively engaging in these types of imbalances that are starting to show. So I hope that I articulated a good start to that and the importance of our services. But the last thing, you'll see these red stars throughout my presentation. That's mainly for me to just pay special attention to. In the 2024 Burlington Strategic Plan, I couldn't help but notice that the external stakeholder community survey results, respondents indicated that the four most important areas for quality of life in Burlington are fire and EMS at 88%. So if our external stakeholders are saying that and that's what they want to see, we do feel that we are appropriately addressing those needs, and we'll go through these slides and I'll share what we're doing and planning for. But if our external stakeholders are feeling that way, we certainly want to provide that excellent service to them. So right now, here's our current roster. It's been this way for over 10 years. So 49 career staff, 4 are administrative. The red, blue, yellow columns are the shifts. There's the red star again. So 26 firefighters are under 5 years. You see our little red line there. So essentially everybody below that red line is the 26 under 5, or 50% of the department under 5 years. This is another national trend. It's not special to us, but it's a tremendously young department, which we'll get to. I'm going to highlight the importance of training. So training. In a high-stress world and profession, training is everything, muscle memory, and 26 firefighters under 5 years of experience is a tremendously young fire department, nonetheless. So if you have any questions, by all means, slow me down, stop me, but I'll keep going here. This is important. I told Dana before I came up here, I talked about her last year, and I'm going to do it again. I have 2 slides specifically focused on Dana and what she does. She's our billing administrator. Those are the 9 main bullet points of her responsibilities. I'm not going to belabor everything that's on that slide, but she's in charge of our ambulance revenue and so many other interactions with other city departments in collecting revenue, but especially ambulance revenue. She's an in-house billing person, which is a tremendous benefit to us in our city because we pay her regular wages and benefits and salary. But if we were to outsource that to a typical company, PCC, they take 7% of what you get in revenue capture and do far less. They don't go after collections or anything like that, or bad debt recovery. So we could essentially pay two Danas or two billing administrators for what they would cost in the 7% of recoup of what they got in the ambulance revenue that they went and got. So Dana is tremendously important to the city of Burlington, the Burlington Fire Department. Last year I mentioned this, and that was the start of my education campaign to you all. I'm doing it again. I've had careful conversations with her, and she is still planning on retiring, and within 1 to 3, possibly 4 years, we're on a good understanding that when she says it's time, she's going to let me know about 2 years in advance so I can start to come back to you all and say, we do have a plan. We know she's leaving. We would like to bring somebody in, get them trained, and then segue Dana out and keep her on maybe a limited basis to make sure things go smoothly. So this is year 2 of preparing for that. So nothing changes today. I'm not asking for anything, but again, it's coming, and we sure do have a good thing in having in-house ambulance billing rather than outsourcing it anywhere else. So,
And not only billing, but collections.
Collections.
She does a wonderful job on that.
yeah, certainly. This presentation is on the city website. So if you have any questions specific to billing and some of that stuff and what she can chase after, you can go there or certainly call me. But there's a lot that goes into it that she's doing for us. So call volume overview, similar to last year, 84%, you see in the pie, 84% in the blue makes up our EMS or 911 ALS ambulance service call volume. And then 60% is everything else listed in red, which are considered fire-related activities. 2014 is always a number we like to go back to. It's just a good data line. So in 2014, the ambulance-only revenue was $993,000. Last year's FY25 was $2.6 million. So you can just see and that's mainly attributed to our EMS call volume, which you see in the pie chart is 84% of the business. But that ambulance billing is so important, and that you can see the growth from 2014 to now. So just thought that was an interesting number to show with the red star there. So increasing call volume, as you know, we're continuing to track this. This last year, 2025, I can't tell you that we broke any records, but we came darn close. 6,154, obviously under the 2024 call volume number. But again, you see the trend, and you see going back to the 2014 and that we love to use. I mean, we're projecting that we don't ever fall below 6,000 calls again. We're right there since 2022, hitting the 6,000 mark and progressing forward. So, and again, everything I described in the first slide, again, we're projecting that number just continues to remain above 6,000, if not increase year over year. So. The expansion of call volume, here's an update there. So some big takeaways. 25% of our call volume is outside the city of Burlington limits. All of those jurisdictions you see above the pie chart, those are the actual jurisdictions or municipalities or areas that we went to in 2025. So if it's not on this slide, we just didn't go there. But if it's on the slide, we went there. 75% of Burlington, of course. You see the 2024 and 2025 call volume. It just is interesting also that it remains at 75-25 split. Last year, or 2024, we averaged 17.2 calls. And again, since our call volume went down, 2025, the average went down to 16.8. I believe my next slide, yes, is a different representation of that pie chart. So That's all it is. It's giving you the same data, but I wanted to illustrate it just a little bit differently. That's how my mind works, and I hope you guys can understand this. But you see the city of Burlington there at the bottom, and it's taken up. That's that 75% of the call volume. Coming in second place is the city of West Burlington, and then in third place is Henderson County. One notable thing here is outside of those top 3 jurisdictions that we're going to, those are all mostly north or northwest territories. So Flint River, north. Tama, north. Union and Concordia, we know there's a south. Okay, so city of Danville, north and to the west. Danville Township, north and to the west. Middletown, north and to the west. Meepo, north. Pleasant Grove, north and to the west. Henry County, north and to the west. Franklin, north. Benton, north. Lee County, okay, that's south. Jackson, back to the north. Similar story that we've been telling with the Station 3. Again, the call volume and expansion of calls is typically, it's going north and to the west. So, again, Station 3 and its location was strategically decided upon, and this helps tell that story, if that makes sense. Here's just this. So that's Iowa, specifically Des Moines County. In red, there's the primary fire and ambulance coverage, covering over 116 square miles with an approximate population of over 31,000. In the blue is primary ambulance coverage, which is 199 square miles and approximately 34,000. Again, it's not as easy to show the state of Illinois, but Illinois, in Henderson County, we cover 379 square miles in fire protection, which is 6,300 population, and we do currently provide primary fire and EMS coverage to Gulfport, Illinois jurisdiction, as well as primary EMS coverage to we call it the Lomax jurisdiction, which is the city of Lomax and parts of Hancock County, and we have an agreement with Lomax and Dallas City Rural Fire Protection District to do that. So I can't show you Illinois as easy as I can Iowa, but I love showing this because it just shows you how far we go out and how relied upon we are. So. Some special projects that we have going on currently, but are going into this fiscal and calendar year. So we've tried to pay a special focus on mental health and fitness levels. Starting off with station alerting, you've heard us discuss the G2 station alerting, which you all approved over last year's CIP, over $300,000 in a station alerting system. Essentially what that does, and especially toward mental health, is it doesn't alert the stations or units that aren't relevant to the call. So if it's a Station 1 territory only, it only alerts Station 1 in those units, thus reducing their stress loads, their shock to the system on the alerting system coming overhead, and allowing them more rest and peace. We have been renovating our gym. This is one of the coolest projects we have. Those top 2 pictures, those teenagers there, that they're sitting underneath a wall that they have demolished, and they combined 2 rooms, which are now one big gym in our Station 1. All of their labor is free. They've completed phase 1 of the project, and they're coming back here in about 2 weeks to complete phase 2, and then it'll all be done. But they've combined the rooms, which makes it more comfortable, everything for more people to get in there and work out. Another thing that they did do, the picture right next to them is a window. If you go down to the central station, you'll see a big window that wasn't there before, but this overlooks the bay, again, creating a more welcoming environment. Free labor, the window was even donated, and much of these, not all, but much of the materials used have been donated or free from them. So we'll pay a minimal cost, but it's been a fantastic project, one that makes sense, and again, helps us with our mental health and fitness level priority focus. And then also, we've really, our Health, Wellness, and Safety Committee meets quarterly, and we've put a focus on saying from 10 to noon, you go in there and work out. We will not schedule anything else if you go in there from 10 to noon. Now, listen, we'll still take calls, of course, But from 10 to noon, that's yours. You go, you use it, it's your time. We will not bug you. 10 to noon, that's you. And if a call kicks out, get in your gym, you're in your gym shorts, go handle the call. And when Citizen X says, why are you in your gym shorts? We've told them, tell them that you are working out and you are focused on your nutrition and health and fitness levels so that they can provide good service in picking up patient X. We're encouraging that sort of thing. Of course, you guys all know about the Station 3 project. More to come here in the coming weeks on that when we re-meet with Carl A to see where they are. But in the middle there, that's the current blueprint, and then the training facility that is not attached to Station 3, and I'll cover that in a minute, but that's that. Improved special operations training, so tech rescue, you see the guy hanging from a building, as well as hazmat collaboration. We are the dedicated only hazmat response team in the entire county. We're the only ones providing that service, similar to the guy hanging off the building. I'm confident in telling you that nobody else can hang off a building or a grain bin or a bridge or a bluff. We are the only ones trained and have the equipment to do that. So we've gotten back into taking, re-inventoried that equipment in our training, in our skills, and we've actually been in discussions with Keokuk Fire and Fort Madison Fire on collabing with them and their hazmat services because, again, back to slide one, they are career departments. They have career staff. We can rely upon them more regularly rather than some other agencies. They also think this way, and so we're just collaborating with them more and more on these types of things. And we do already have mutual aid agreements with them, but again, we're trying to strengthen those relationships right now. Recruitment and retention focus. So you see the training facility. We'll talk about that. Skill Bridge. We do have military service personnel starting this week, and we have another one next month, and then another one in May. It's just extra hands on calls, which is always a benefit to the patient. Next week, we're kicking off our new strategic plan. It got placed on pause because we wanted to do it in the last 12 months, but with the Station 3 revampage, we put our strategic plan on hold, but we're comfortable now getting back to that. Lastly, this is probably one of my most passionate things, but our Health, Safety, and Wellness Committee, again, has set a project up with BHS. They have 2 courses. They're called Public Safety courses, Intro and Advanced. And starting next school year, we will be far more engaged and involved in both of those courses. Upwards of where we had maybe a half hour with these students, we'll probably have upwards of 10 to 12 hours or class sessions there with them. And then again, in their advanced class, that's where they'll come down, they'll interview with us, they'll apply, and they'll perform an internship built into the curriculum. So we've been meeting with BHS curriculum staff, their instructors. They're excited, we're excited. Next school year, we're kicking this off. We've met with them, met with them again, discussed more options, and we're in a good spot where we have a shared vision. I'll end with this. The city of Burlington, specifically BHS, there's so much talent there that we haven't tapped into, and it's our goal to start tapping into that talent. It's there, and we want to keep those kids in our community. And if they don't stay, then our hope is that we can set them up for success in other places. So there's the training facility. Again, this is officially detached from the station project in that $7 million. I'll cover this in the capital item plan. But 26 firefighters under 5 years, you heard me say that, so it's important to get some training. We do see rising external training costs. We send new firefighters to the IFSI Fire Academy, 7-week boot camp academy. When we started doing that, it was $5,500 for tuition. This year, for one firefighter, it's $8,500. So there's a $3,000 increase right there. So we're starting to see those types of costs. Other associated costs, their lodging's going up, per diem, fuel, and minimum manning and overtime costs associated with, if we send 4 firefighters there, of course, we just depleted staffing here, and that could create overtime needs. So, not to mention wear and tear on staff and other stuff like that. So, any questions on the training facility, or where we've gotten to in this presentation so far?
Where's that at again in the CIP, or what year?
Next,
It's going to be on the next slide.
Okay, thanks.
So as you see it, when we were going through this project with Station 3, that's what it would look like, everything, that's what it is. And we built that to mimic our community needs. It gave us everything that we see and do on fire scenes here in Burlington, from decks to apartment complexes to residential. It mimicked Burlington, and that was what was most important to us.
So the other fire departments that we're interacting with, would they want to use this facility as well? Would they want to train with us? Would we be open and entertain that idea?
Oh,
or-
absolutely. You would think so. And that's what we've always stated from day one, is we would be completely welcoming in trying to train with other neighboring departments. So, of course, they would have to make those decisions, but as it stands right now, we see this being a mutually beneficial type of training facility in which we would welcome our partners, if that makes sense to you.
That includes law enforcement as well.
Yeah, as long as they don't shoot their bullets. And then that's serious, or the fake bullets, whatever you want to call them. But when we were actually, that's a real thing, because in designing this, they asked the question, is law enforcement, can they go in there? We said, yeah, sure. They said, well, they can't shoot their fake bullets or whatever because it breaks it's called paginite, and it's our fire protection walls, which are super expensive. So they're like, tell them they can't shoot their whatever training, because they see that often. They warned us about it. Okay, Mr. Mayor, here you go. So here's our 5-year capital improvement plan. Similar, everything to what everybody's been saying, including how Chad kicked off today. This is our next 5 years. Starting at the top, so the circled numbers are where I'm putting the focus on. They're the largest numbers on this sheet. The 7 million planned in FY '27, that is the Station 3. If you go to FY '28, go down the next circle, that's, we're earmarking 1 million for that training facility. If you go to FY '29 and go down even further, the 3.1 million, that is the already approved aerial and engine that we discussed over the summer. And to the right of that is, in 2021, another engine planned replacement. So, of course, Nick mentioned it, this is one of those slides, lots of numbers and words, and you can get lost in what you're seeing and looking at. Some other things that I'll highlight if you don't have any questions is, again, as you always hear us say, the ambulance remount scheduled for FY '27 will be our very last non-Lifeline ambulance. So there's a $400,000, just over $432,000 to buy a new ambulance. This would be the last ambulance that is an identical to the other 5 ambulances. But after that, you see it in '28, there's a $220,000, and it continues on in the 220 ranges. Those are those remounts that we continue to discuss. So where a new ambulance cost, if we get one this year, $432,000, the remount and replace schedule here, we proactively started planning this out back in the teens. Now we're starting to see it pay off. We've already remounted one, we have another remount coming, and then here's the next staged remounts that are essentially half the cost of buying new. And as I'm going to show you in our next slide, which goes into the 10 years, it just continues to pay off. And as of right now, we've been told you can remount up to 2 or 3 times. 3 is the magic number. So that's essentially 30 years of remounts. If you only need to remount it every 10 years, there's all kinds of savings there. So, Everything else on here is pretty standard. Cardiac monitor, Lucas device schedules, those are manufactured, says you have to replace them every 8 years, and I'll go into why that's important here a little bit. So here's the next 10 years. Again, I didn't circle anything in here. However, another big number in here is in FY 2035, which would be replacing another aerial apparatus. So again, anytime we're replacing an engine or aerial, it's either because it's beyond 15 years or approaching the 30-year mark, and it's at its end of life stage, and we're probably spending a lot of repair costs on it. And this summer that we just came from was a pretty important summer for us because we successfully approved the purchase of a new aerial and engine. And soon after that approval, our aerial started to really go downhill, and we're starting to see some significant repair costs that we have to make because it's got to be in service for another 15 years. But we're happy because we got one coming. So there's that. We typically budget $30,000 for fire turnout gear every year. That's because wear and tear or just outfitting new firefighters and recruits. But they have 10-year shelf life, but many of them don't last 10 years because of just the wear and tear that it takes. Any questions on the 5 or 10-year CIP schedule from fire?
I got a couple. The training facility went from $820,000 in last year's projected to $1 million.
Yep.
And the year before that, it was, I think, $750,000.
So I can speak to the 820,000. The reason it was 820 is because there was cost built into the Station 3 itself. There was foundation and footings that it was just absorbed in the Station 3 build. That the 820, it didn't include those foundational needs. So since we completely unattached the two and separated them, those foundations and footings, they're not in the current Station 3 project that Carl A is working on right now. So $1 million is what the company is comfortable telling us right now, and they won't tell us anything other than that because they're not comfortable giving us a number, because when they send this, it will be through a group purchasing site, Sourcewell, but they don't know the true costs when they send it to their group purchasing partners for a final cost. So main point or answer to your question is the 820 didn't reflect the foundation and all the cement work or concrete work adjacent to the training structure. But it will now.
Did we bond for part of this fiscal year? Didn't we bond for $2 million for 2.5
For the facility?
Yeah.
No.
No, not yet.
No, that'll be in 27.
Well, it's showing here $5,000 for $5 million for 2027, and then $1 million for 2028.
Yeah, that's the fire station, and that's an adjustment, and that's why you got some updated packets in that this morning. Working with Travis, I'm proposing that, based on construction schedule and timing, which we don't have yet, and we'll probably get by the end of February, that we go ahead and bond for the $5 million to get started on construction, and then we bond for $1 million or remaining to complete construction in 28 to wrap up. And again, that goes back to some of our kind of smoothing our bond issues in that, to separate it that way. And that's based on some numbers that we've had preliminarily from Carl A. Nelson. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
Councilman Scott, also, when we brought the Station 3 and we're fine-tuning it to where we are now, in discussions with Carl A, there was not a comfortable feeling that we could include the training facility in complete the project. So we ultimately decided, you know what, let's get the fire station built, and detach that training facility. The primary focus is the fire station to continue providing services. So that was the ultimate decision to separate the two. We couldn't make it happen comfortably or confidently with keeping the training tower there. So,
The other thing I'm looking at, council, is, I think by doing this, and again, Travis will be here in a couple weeks, I think we can bond for these projects in this facility without going into the referendum-approved tax levy increase. I think we can do it and still stay below that $3.79. That's what I'm trying to do.
I like that plan.
you got a question?
No.
Okay. So next slide, historical comparison budgets, again, 2014, which we love to use. Approved budget then was 4.5 million. Fast forward to 2020, upwards to 5.5 million. 2025, 6.4 million. And FY '26, 6.6. And we are proposing FY '27 for hitting the 7 mark, 7 million. So as you can see, we try to show those charts on the left where if you pay attention to the revenue in 2014, it was only 1.2 million. That's everything, not just ambulance, but all-in revenue. All-in revenue for 2020, 2.7, and it continues to grow in 2.8 at 2025. So we feel that the net cost to the general fund is one of the numbers we really like to see. We're providing as much bang for the buck as we can. We see the budget increasing, however, with the expansion of our services, we're expanding our revenue and just seeing positive trends there. So the next slide is more of our recent budget comparison. Dating back to FY '23, '24, '25, and then again, pending '26 and pending '27. But you see where things are starting to stay consistent. And this to us tells us that what we're doing in our operations, our philosophy, our staffing model, it's working for us in a good way. We're still providing excellent services to everywhere that we say we'll go. But the FY '27 pending budget number is a 6.1 increase from FY '26 to 6.6 million. So I don't have anything to share or go over the details other than what you see on the screen here, unless you have any questions.
I did ask Chief Trexel the same question. For all the services that we provide outside the city limits of Burlington, are the people that we're providing those services for paying a commensurate rate of what the citizens of Burlington are paying?
The easy answer is no. Some of that's out of our control. Some of it is in our control. I think it's time. Some of the things that are out of our control is just the taxation methodology. So our townships are paying for fire and EMS. So the 4 townships that we primarily cover, Union, Concordia, Flint River, and Tama, they're paying 60 3/4 cents on per 1,000 of assessed value. And that's the maximum they can by code right now. We can't go anything above that unless there's legislative change or we redistrict any of those municipalities or townships from what they currently are, meaning declaring them essential service, EMS as an essential service, or putting them into EMS districts, which would take Board of Supervisors and those types to vote on. So right now, some of the taxation methodologies and how we're getting revenue are already maxed out. But to answer your question, no, there's great imbalances there as well. And some of those automatic aid and mutual aid agreements that we have in place, it's probably time we start getting back to the table and discussing some of those revenue captures for us from those entities. So definitely on my plate to start discussing, and probably going to be working with the mayor and the city manager, especially in these next 12 months, and talking more about that.
What about Illinois?
Illinois pays a similar type, what I just kind of explained with the Quad Townships. They're paying their maximum amount of the taxation that's in place right now, and giving us either 98% or 100% of that to the places that we provide primary coverage, so, which would be Lomax.
It's a little concerning for me that the citizens of Burlington are subsidizing the services that we're providing outside the city of Burlington. And I hope you get on that, and I hope you have some pretty serious discussions.
Yeah, I would agree. It's important that the citizens of Burlington ultimately get the best service. The badge right here says Burlington Fire Department, right? So number one priority should be the citizens of Burlington. I'll just say though, where we do have these mutual or automatic aid agreements in place, we'll honor what we have written, right, in providing those services. But again, going back to slide one, in this changing landscape, it's time to get back to those conversations and discuss changes in who's paying what. So absolutely, I do agree with you.
Are we doing any out-of-county transfers like Iowa City and?
So that's a great question. We used to take upwards in the thousands, but in an effort to adapt to the changing landscape and reprioritize efforts here in our county, in our town, we've completely flipped the page on how we take out of county interfacility transports, where we took 1,000 maybe last year or the year before, and even more than that in the decade before that. Last year we took 5. And to us, that's worth it. We're not getting perhaps the revenue in taking that, but we're keeping the services in town. So to us, it's worth it. But that's a great question, and there's been a huge change with interfacility transport numbers.
Superior picks up the slack.
That's correct. And so that's another focus, is that's an agency that is supposed to do that. That's what they've said they've done, or they will do. That's the main task in which they'll do. So our of the 19 hats we wear, the most important hat is to provide emergency service to our town. So I hope that answers that for you.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same answer Chief Trucks will give me.
I hope that's a good answer. Good enough for now. Here's our overall budget. These are the eight or so accounts that we have, 1101 through 1109. That's the percentage increases and the percentages attached to those, and then the amounts. So like everybody else has been saying, all department heads, 84.69% of our overall budget is personnel and benefits. And the rest is just, in our next slide, I'll share with you some of the notable where we've increased the line items. Here's one of those slides I'm gonna quickly go through. Real quick, a cardiac monitor today costs $56,000. A power load and cot, which comes on our ambulance, that's $76,000 and some change, and a Lucas CPR device, that's $16,500. So a cardiac monitor, $56,000. That's more than many cars out there. Okay, so here's some of those specific line items that we've increased. Medical pre-hire and annuals, so what was previously 20,000, we increased by 5, bringing it up to 25, and this is just fluctuating personnel onboarding and annual physicals. Fire training, we spoke about that. It's 59,000 previously. We're adding 8,000, bringing the new amount to 67,000. Software and platforms, previously 6,500. We're asking to increase that by 3,500, bringing that to 10. OpenGov and just changing softwares with our fire prevention and fire marshal responsibilities. The next one down is city warning sirens. We just recently learned of this, or at least I did. We do have city warning sirens that we are responsible for, and just the general upkeep and maintenance of it. We're seeing those needing repairs. So what was once 2,500, we'd like to double that and bring the new amount to 5,000 so we could keep those sirens working. 1108-514, that's our main ambulance code, software and platforms. Last year was 38,000. We're going to need to increase that by 29,500, bringing the new total to 67,500. So there's multiple software agreements that are outside of the original 1, 2, or 3 agreements, which were discounted, and now these will be the regular recurring costs. ESO being the major one where we do EMS and fire reporting. G2, it's the main alerting system that had a price tag over 300,000, but its recurring annual maintenance costs has added to the software there costs. So EMS training, what was once 55,000, we'd like to increase that by 5, bringing it to 60, and that's primarily based on paramedic tuitions out at SCC. Striker protection, that's a huge one. What was once 29,000 is going to be needed to increase by 16, bringing the new total to 45. This is attributed to all the equipment that we have. A couple slides, we just saw the Striker cot and load system, the Lucas device, the cardiac monitor, stair chair. All of that equipment is serviced anytime we call them. They come down with this agreement in place and they fix it. But if you don't have an agreement like that, you could the cost of one repair job could be the cost of your entire agreement. So pretty critical equipment that we have to have serviced and maintained to go out there and provide services. But it's significantly risen over the years. And then EMS med supplies, what was once 55,000, we'd like to add 5, bringing that to 60, and that's just rising costs and changing vendors. And we get a lot of our stuff from a private vendor, but we also share EMS supplies with the hospital, and so their rising costs are our rising costs. Some quick math: sending 5 people to paramedic right now, which we plan on doing, is $51,000. Sending 4 people to the IFS Fire Academy will cost $46,300. So these are rising costs. They're expensive academies and tuitions. But in order to stay staffed like we are and continue to give these services, those are the costs that come with it.
Real quick, for the protection agreement, the Stryker, do they do preventative maintenance as well?
Yeah, they do. Yep. They come down on their own to do preventative, but then what I already explained,
Yeah.
we call them in
For
addition to that.
repairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
We are the only professional full-time fire and EMS agency in Des Moines County, again, being increasingly relied upon, responding 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. Do you guys have any questions?
12 on the dot.
I don't have any questions. You pretty much answered mine. Anybody else?
I don't have any questions, just another comment. I know the citizens of Burlington greatly appreciate the services that are provided by the fire department, as do I. I have seen firsthand several times this year the professionalism and the trust that I felt in them and them doing their job. And that was different fellas and women each time. But I also want to add that the people of Burlington have been extremely generous the last couple of years in putting that trust in you, in providing you with, in your department with just about everything you've asked for. And I want you to continue to do what you do and continue to encourage your staff to do what the people expect of you, and I'm sure you will, but I just think it needs to be said.
Yeah, thank you. I agree completely. We've received a ton of support in the last couple of years, and just going back to the fire station, right? And the referendum passed in 2023, and just recently this last summer, and the support that council gave us, but was also further supported by the citizens in getting the aerial and the engine like that. So I agree completely. We got so much support out there, and we feel supported.
I mean, I would echo Tim's thoughts. I know firsthand, I was in a rather, it wasn't life threatening, but I was in a real dire spot. And I was very thankful you guys were on the job that day. So anybody that's had experience with any of our public safety, they know firsthand what our quality staff that we have in our departments. So, you know, like I said, staff's going to hear it a lot. And it's sometimes all we can do, but we're trying to do more is thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. My grandma needed your services the other day, and she gave strict instruction not to cause a fuss and sound the alarms and stuff like that, and they followed her requests to not bring in the ambulance all blaring and stuff. So, but they're very kind and courteous.
Yeah, I
And
wasn't so lucky. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, they treated me with a lot of kindness. So.
yeah.
Well,
Good.
thank you. Thank you for your time today.
You bet.
Thank you.
Good job.